1 day, 5 hours, 47 minutes, and 56 seconds. What is going on, guys? It's your boy TKD123 here, and that is all the time we have left after this recording until we get our hands on Spiderman PS4 on Friday. The hype for me hit an all-time high. I know I just said that last video, but the hype is crazy right now, at least for me, because I just finished the book this morning, and it is an incredible book, Spiderman Hostile Takeover, the prequel novel to the game. It is absolutely amazing, great ending, and there's a cool epilogue that I'm gonna share tomorrow with you all. But today I want to really reflect on something that I've been thinking about in the book and something that has popped up here and there, and it involves two people that I know one you definitely are aware of, even if you are not the most hardcore Spider-Man fan, and another character that is definitely for the hardcore and that I just learned about in this book and was a very interesting character throughout the entire novel as well. So without further ado, what is up with Blood Spider and Norman Osborn? So to properly explain the entire concept of what I'm trying to say here and where we're going to end up at the end of this video, we're going to start off with explaining the history behind Blood Spider, aka Bingham is his real name. I mean, technically Michael Bingham, but I'm going to just call him Bingham for this entire video. So let's go into the history of what they gave us in the Hostile Takeover prequel novel for the game. Long story short, Bingham grew up being picked on for his weight and had a rough early life. He would call his hometown Binghamton his town because of the similar name to his own name. He was always apart from the rest of the kids because he had disabilities and was in a class for special or disabled kids in separate classrooms for more assistance in education. As he grew older, his mom had a boyfriend named Rick who, rather than make fun of him and bully him as her prior boyfriends did, he taught Bingham how to fight. When his mom grew ill and died, rather than being put in a group home or quote live with a stranger to live the rest of his days, he decided to take life into his own hands and not choose the choices that had been given to him, and he set off to New York. He struggled to survive in NYC with no job and no resources until one day a lady offered him all the necessities of life, including shelter, food, and to care for him. In exchange, she only wanted to quote give you some medicine and see if it makes you better or worse. Bingham agreed and went with the lady to the hospital upstate. While at the hospital, he witnessed many people get sick and die from the medicine, but not for him. He grew stronger and said that the quote fog from his mind that had always been there had finally cleared. He began to see things and comprehend them more clearly than he ever had before, along with his strength multiplying. He lost a ton of weight and became physically fit off the medicine. This was proven even more when he got into an altercation with other people in the hospital, and even went as far as saying he enjoyed fighting people. And the excerpt picks up right after he beats two other men to death at said hospital for allowing one of his friends within the hospital to die of a seizure. We now go to Bingham as he's being questioned by the director about the incident. Here we go. The director wrote down everything Bingham said in response to these questions. Being listened to was a strange feeling. Bingham discovered that he liked it. Have you been feeling any different lately? The director wanted to know. Stronger, maybe? I feel good, Bingham said. More awake, I guess, like I know everything that's going on. I didn't know that I felt stronger until that thing happened. But you felt stronger when you attacked those men. Yes, Bingham said. Am I in trouble? Not in trouble, the director said. Not if you're willing to help us. How can I help you? By taking more medicine, the director said. It doesn't make me sick, so okay. The boss will be very pleased to hear that, the director said. It turned out that Bingham wasn't punished for what he had done to those two men. Instead, they gave him his own room, he had a TV that he controlled by himself, and no one tried to take his food away. So to back it up here, they essentially found out that because Bingham, he actually smashed a man's head so many times into the floor that it says in the book that like there wasn't that much head left, and everything that was inside the head, aka the brains, was kind of gooped out, around the actual scalp and the head of the person. So Bingham definitely messed up this guy due to his medicine that he took, thus making him a lot more powerful. And then they say that he's not in trouble for beating up those two men. Actually, scratch that, killing those two men. He definitely killed them. He's not mad at that, the boss but the boss really would like him to take more medicine and become stronger, and for him to be more secluded from the rest of the people in the hospital and almost treated better than everyone else in the hospital, because everyone that was taking the medicine, if they died, oh well, they just died from the medicine. It wasn't even anything crazy. But because Bingham here was surviving the medicine and improving his overall state, and his physical apparatus was better on the medicine, and they were looking to use him for something, but for what exactly? And this leads us to pretty much the end of the novel, where we have a fight between Fisk and Bingham. And it's a weird one because of course we've seen throughout the novel that they have had conflict and butted heads, but they never really fought before because Fisk was using Bingham as Blood Spider to cause the public opinion to deter on Spider-Man's end of things by him impersonating Spider-Man and going out and doing a bunch of horrible things like killing the DA assistant and just overall doing just horrible things in the name of Spider-Man because he had the same suit as Spider-Man. So he was acting like Spider-Man and doing all these crazy horrible things so that the public thinks that it's actually Spider-Man doing these horrible things, and everyone just started to hate Spider-Man throughout the whole entire novel. And so Fisk was using that as a way to kind of throw off Spider-Man and get him directly off of Fisk and have Spider-Man more focusing on the impersonator as opposed to Fisk. And unlike us not knowing who Peter Parker's boss technically is, even though we kind of know who he is already, we do know who is the boss of the lab that Bingham was at where he got his medicine and became Blood Spider and all that jazz. But we also get the implication and why the boss was doing these tests on different subjects from people that he just picked up from off the street, whatever, and we know why he was doing it and who it is. So let's get right into it. The world went dark and weird. Ringing filled his ears and lights danced on the periphery of his vision. He was sliding across the floor. He would have been finished if he'd been an ordinary man, but he wasn't ordinary anymore. He hadn't been since the experiments in Osborn's lab. Osborn hadn't found the cure he was looking for, but he'd found something else, a way to make Spider-Man. It killed everyone else they tried it on, which just proved that there could only be one Spider-Man in the world. That's why the imposter had to die. Every moment he breathed, he weakened Bingham. Anyone could see that. So would you look at that? Norman Osborn. In the novel, he's already the mayor of New York City, and in the game, we've seen with trailers that he is currently doing his re-election cycle to be re-elected as mayor again of New York City. So it was at Osborn's lab where Bingham was taken to and where all those people were at, and they gave him all this medicine to try and find this cure that Osborn was looking for. But what was he looking for? What cure was he trying to achieve? It's been known in common Spider-Man lore that Norman Osborn has and historically dies from retroviral hypoplasia. I'm gonna say it like that. I think that's right, something like that. I'll have it up here on screen. But it's been described as being a disease that spans over a time of up to 40 years, causing internal pain and changes to the appearance of its victims, giving them features such as scaly skin, rashes that cause skin to shed, and patches to appear on the skin in certain places with a green and scaly texture to them. This disease speeds up the growth of nails and teeth as well. So I think it's pretty safe to say that if we have Osborn looking for a cure, it's likely going to be for that disease that makes his skin all green and scaly and everything, and that of course makes him become the Green Goblin as well. So I'm assuming that, eventually throughout the game, maybe we will see a scene or, having the narrative that he doesn't really find the cure for that and ends up becoming Green Goblin, maybe, or Harry does, maybe, who knows, but I think that's a pretty, it's a pretty solid guess as well. And in the novel, Fisk and Osborn work very, very close together to try and have advances in each other's lives from each other, so they both use each other for their own personal gains. And what Fisk wants out of Osborn is to be appointed as the Commissioner of Finance, thus making all of his businesses kind of too big to fail, because if the Commissioner of Finance fails, one of his business fails, then it's almost like everything else collapses and a lot of things happen that should not be happening. That whole phrase, he's too big to fail, or this company's too big to fail. Like, if it fails, a lot of things are going to happen that are very, very bad for the public. So that's where Fisk wanted to be. Fisk wanted to be put in a position where all of his type of shenanigans and what he's doing in New York City was going to be protected by just that phrase, he's too big to fail. And to make sure that Osborn stayed in line and make sure that he appointed him as the Commissioner of Finance, he has this thumb drive within Fisk Tower that has some dirt on Osborn. We never know what it was because it got destroyed by Echo in the end of the novel, so we never really get to figure out what exactly was in that thumb drive, but it was something that was damning on Osborn's part that would definitely put him in a lot of muddy water, let's say. And I think with Osborn having this lab that turned Bingham into Blood Spider has something to do with what's on that USB. I think the USB has some dirt about that topic, has some dirt maybe about the disease that he has. Maybe it's some testing of different chemicals on different subjects as well that they end up dying, so technically Osborn will be put to trial for illegally trying different medicines on subjects, thus he would be a murderer in that case. But unfortunately, I'm not sure if we're going to see it in the game, if we will see that info rise up. I assume we will maybe, but I don't think will ever really know what exactly was on the USB drive since it was destroyed forever by Echo, because at first Spider-Man and Echo were supposed to retrieve the USB device. That way Fisk wouldn't have any leverage on Osborn, so that Osborn can freely, without a clear conscience, not put him as Commissioner of Finance, which would then make him too big to fail. But because the USB is destroyed, Fisk definitely won't get his hands on it because it's destroyed, and so he has no real reason to appoint Fisk as Commissioner of Finance. So mission accomplished on the books part of what Spider-Man and Echo were trying to do here, but we still don't know what was in the USB drive and probably will not know exactly what was in there. But that's all I got for the topic, but I want to know most importantly, what do you all think down in the comments below? Those that have read the book, did you like Blood Spider? Did you like that Osborn's lab was the reason for him becoming Blood Spider? Are you curious about what's in the USB? What do you think was in the USB? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. And make sure also while you are down there to check out the description where you can find our Instagram and Twitter. Follow us on there, which is also leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, as well as stay subscribed to PlayStation Source to keep up with the latest grades on PlayStation and all things Spiderman PS4. Thank you for watching, and as always, greatness awaits.